Welcome to the show. This is Future Shock. I'm Edward St. Pé. We've got an interesting show for you today. We're talking about AI news, and that's what the show is about. And we're going to be talking about the interview that Don Lemon did recently with Elon Musk. And I know this is a little off the subject of AI, but with Elon Musk and in the middle of everything that's going on with AI development, and he's been in the news lately with the Neuralink project. There's news on that, the success of the transplant of the chip in the brain of the individual, which is helping the person to be able to communicate with devices, which is helping a person to regain mobility. These are all breakthroughs in the area, related tech area of AI and such. And of course, Musk is in the news with SpaceX. They had another successful launch of the Starship. We've got some information on that. Elon Musk's vision for going to Mars, which is, I think, so important, as far as something that we can do to further, enhance the progress and the survival of humanity. We've got a story on that, and I want to show the interview, a clip from the interview, and we can start off with that Don Lemon did. Now, Don Lemon was, of course, at CNN, successful journalist there. He left after some controversy regarding some statements he made, I guess last year, and so this is his new show, the Don Lemon Show, and he had a deal, as I understand it, with X. With Musk to carry the show, right? And so he had a lot of demands, which were, I've got a report on some of the demands. It was pretty extraordinary, some of the demands that he made for the show. That he wanted to have editorial control of the news content on X. He wanted a Tesla electric truck, lots of different things, which was kind of a little bit over the top. But we'll take a look at a clip of the interview that he did. And of course, the big news that came out of that is after the interview was over with, I guess later that day or the next day, Musk killed the deal and said, I'm not carrying your show on X. You can put your show on here, but I'm not paying you. You're not going to be paid for the show. And I think, you can look at some of the content of the interview and decide what you think, why that happened. And we'll talk about that after we come back. Let's take a look at the clip.
Leaning group. My question leading into this is about MAGA. And speaking of MAGA, you recently met with Donald Trump in Florida. What did you guys talk about?
I was at a dinner. I was at a breakfast at a friend's place, and Donald Trump came by. That's it.
So you didn't go there to meet him?
No, I went to a friend of mine's house, and it said Donald Trump's coming by for breakfast. Is that just so you know, okay, fine.
What did you discuss?
Let's just say he did most of the talking.
What did he say?
The normal things he says. There was nothing particularly groundbreaking or new, but he, President Trump likes to talk, and so he talked. I don't recall him saying anything that he hasn't said publicly, and that was it. It was just a breakfast.
Did he ask you for money?
He didn't.
Did he ask you for a donation?
No.
He didn't?
No.
You said you're not going to donate to any candidate.
That's correct.
Why not?
I think while I'll voice my opinion, I think I don't want to put a thumb on the scale monetarily. That is, significant.
Are you going to loan him money to help pay his bills?
No.
Not at all. Pay his legal bills?
I'm not paying his legal bills in any way, shape, or form.
And he did not ask you for money.
And he did not ask me for money.
Are you going to? So you're not going to endorse a candidate?
I may, in the final stretch, endorse a candidate, but I don't know yet. I want to make a considered decision before the election, and if I do decide to endorse a candidate, then I will explain exactly why.
Are you leaning towards anyone?
No.
You're not leaning towards anyone because you've been.
Let me say I'm leaning away from Biden.
You're leaning.
I've made no secret of that.
Are you concerned about losing your security clearance if Biden is reelected? Does that have anything to do with it?
No.
You are leaning away from Biden, but you're not going to endorse anyone. It seems like an endorsement of President Trump because there are only two people who are running now. Nikki Haley is out.
I mean, a lot could
Biden's
happen
opponent is
between now and the election, so we'll see who, in the final analysis, are the choices for president. And at that point, I may or may not endorse one of the candidates. If I do, I will provide a very detailed explanation of why I am endorsing one or the other.
At that point, might you contribute or donate?
I think it's unlikely.
So you have been posting up a storm, as you always do in the past couple weeks, about the redesign of the Tesla Roadster coming at the end of this year. Are there any kind of updates that you can talk about to expect from your flagship EV? I mean, Tesla stock is down in the last 6 months. What's next for the company?
You know, the stocks go up and down, but what really matters is, are we making and delivering great products? The Tesla products are outstanding. Last year, the Tesla Model Y was the best-selling car of any kind in the world. So it was about 1.2 million units. It was the best-selling car despite being, I think, around 50% more expensive than the next best-selling vehicle.
Okay, so, you know, they got into some controversial things. They got talking about politics, asking them about Trump, about X being sort of right-leaning as opposed to where Don Lemon seems to be coming from, sort of left-leaning. So, you know, it's a political thing. Now, what happened there? You know, why did Musk cancel his show? Well, I mean, you know, it seems like, you know, if you're going to be interviewing the boss, number one, you know, if he owns the platform and your show is on there, he asked for a $5 million, extra provide $10 million on platform marketing per year, extra provide marketing for the program, in advance of $5 million a year, advance against future ad revenue, lots of different, you know, expensive demands. Now, if you're going to interview your boss and ask him some questions that put him on the spot, that could be detrimental to the continuation of the program. And I think that's what happened. It's just, you know, kind of like common sense, right? So, you know, not that you got to kowtow to the boss, but I mean, it's the first interview of the first show, and it's the guy who owns the whole platform. So it backfired, I guess you could say. You know? So anyway, the show has been canceled before it even got started. So I'm not sure if it's on that platform now at all, but it's on other platforms. And anyway, you know, I think Don Lemon's a great journalist, and I always thought he was a neat guy. You know, wherever you come in politically, you know, he's a successful journalist, and it's kind of a funny story to see, though. You know, but it sort of typifies, you know, what happens when you interview the boss. You know, you got to be careful what you say, because the boss is in a position to seek retribution by canceling the show before it starts. Anyway, that's that. Okay, now we've got another thing. It's a little bit off topic from the standpoint of AI, but then again, not really, because it's AI, and its tech-infused technologies that have given us the ability to see what they're calling the Devil Comet, which is approaching Earth right now. So this is a big phenomenon. This particular comet, this will be the first time in like 71 years that this comet has approached the Earth, where it's going to be visible in April, coming up next month. And it's kind of a big news in the world of astronomy right now. And of course, you've got a lot of people who are saying, you know, this is a significant situation for lots of reasons. So, well, let's take a look at the video, and we'll talk about it after.
Astronomers predict that for the first time in over 70 years, a massive Devil Comet is going to fly past Earth. The creation of two horns, composed of gas and ice, gave rise to the comet's popular name, 12P Pons Brooks. The comet has been exceptionally bright in comparison to other comets, as experts report on ABC News. Next year, anyone with binoculars or even the unaided eye will be able to witness the comet sail across the sky. What gives it the name Devil Comet? Dust, ice, frozen gases, and boulders that were linked together during the solar system's formation make up comets. Usually, they gradually get warmer and brighter as they approach the sun. The classic comet tail is formed as the ice transforms into gas and pushes the dust away. On the other hand, 12P Pons Brooks has been experiencing massive brightness increases due to two significant eruptions, one in July 2023 and the other earlier this month. Dr. Theodore Carreta, a postdoctoral researcher at the Lowell Observatory in Flagstaff, Arizona, told ABC News that these outbursts have brought this object from being dim enough that you can only really see it with big professional telescopes. In the majority of cases, it's something people can see from their backyard. There are very few comets with significant outbursts, sudden spikes in brightness, and even fewer that experience them more than once during an orbit. He went on, "It appears that Pons Brooks is just really active. The comet, known by its nickname 12P Pons Brooks's coma, is the fuzzy cloud around the comet's nucleus. It has an odd shape with two devil horns on it. It will be interesting to observe whether 12P Pons Brooks has additional eruptions over the coming months, and whether they produce the same devil horns that are currently visible, according to Dr. Elliot Herman, a retired professor at the University of Arizona and amateur astronomer who has taken pictures of the comet using a remote telescope. When is it going to cross Earth? The comet is normally invisible, but on April 8, 2024, a total solar eclipse that crosses over Mexico, the US, and Canada may make it visible. If there are no clouds, it may be incredibly brilliant during that occurrence and visible with binoculars or the unaided eye. On April 21, 2024, at around the same time, 12P Pons Brooks will be at perihelion, or the point in its orbit where it is closest to the Sun. The comet will then have another chance to be seen by scientists and the general public on June 2nd, when 12P Pons Brooks will make its closest approach to Earth. Do we need to worry? Jean-Louis Pons made the initial discovery of 12P Pons Brooks in 1812, and William Robert Brooks made a second sighting of it in 1883. Given that it is a comet of the Halley type, its orbital period is estimated to be between 20 and 200 years. Every 71 years, 12P Pons Brooks makes a pass by Earth. This means that the last time anyone really observed this thing was in 1954, Carreta stated. Therefore, this contributes to the fact that this hasn't been well known. Additionally, when individuals last observed it, they used binoculars, photographic plates, and their own eyes. Its diameter, according to scientific estimates, is at least 17 kilometers, or 10.55 miles. Experts claim that despite its frightening designation and size, 12P Pons Brooks is not a threat to people. According to Herman, there is a unique chance to view a celestial body during this occurrence. People have historically looked up at the sky since humanity first became self-aware, and being amazed at the events that occur above us is something that goes back far before civilization, he stated. I believe that everyone is impacted by the sky occurrences in a very historic way. The cosmos is vast, and there are countless incredible things happening all around us. It's worthwhile to go outside and simply take in the breathtaking scenery. Which further objects will probably pass Earth by in the future? According to a recent article, Earth may someday be impacted by an asteroid that NASA has been following for almost 25 years. The OSIRIS-REx science team estimates that Bennu, a near-Earth asteroid that was first spotted in 1999, may drift into the planet's orbit and strike it by September 2182.
We'll have to have more on that as we get closer to that event. All right. So, okay. Well, we are brought to you by our sponsor, and that is Pendragon Apothecary, and it's in downtown Ocean Springs. We have in the lobby of Ocean 7 Television a wellness store, and that's sort of really what got this whole show started, because in the beginning we were doing a kind of a daily project about our shop, which is a wellness store, sort of a forward-leaning wellness store. We've got all the 7 sacred mushrooms. We've got different products for wellness, I guess you could say. And one of them is this from Anima Mundi, which is ashwagandha. It's a single product in this jar. It's powderized ashwagandha. And it goes all the way back. They can trace ashwagandha use 6,000 years back. The Romans used it for strength and vitality. There's a lot of wonderful attributes about ashwagandha, and you can get it in a lot of forms. This is the powderized version, and you sprinkle it on food or put it in a smoothie, whatever, and get it in your system. And so it's an Vedic medicinal herb, and it's a wonderful thing. So we've got that and many other herbs, tinctures. We've got Blue Lotus products. We get the Blue Lotus in bulk, and it's turned into tea. The flower of the Blue Lotus plant, you can make tea with it, and we also infuse it in light red wine, and we have that. And that goes all the way back to the Egyptian times. Egyptians used it as a sacrament, maybe a means of getting into a prayerful mindset for meditation, prayer, that type of thing. They used it throughout their culture. It's really infused in the ancient Egyptian culture if you look into it. And they also used it in making a red wine infusion with Blue Lotus. And so we've got that too here at the Pendragon Apothecary. And so that's our little commercial of the day inside our program. So Pendragon Apothecary, and we'll have more on the online project, which we're working on, and we hope to have that soon. Okay. Now, we talked about Elon Musk and the interview he did with Don Lemon at the top of the show. We have a lot of news about Elon because he's doing so many things. I mean, I think as a single individual, there's nobody on the planet, to me, that's doing the types of things that he's doing, whether it be, with Tesla and the humanoid robotics, the electric cars, the SpaceX program, and then Neuralink. They just had a successful implant of a chip in the brain of a person who was impaired, and it helped the person to overcome certain areas of impairment via the ability of the chip to activate a computerized external element. So, I mean, that is like a remarkable thing. It's almost, with all of the AI news we're talking about, jumping from reality to what seemed like science fiction just a few years ago, right? Now it's not. That barrier is gone. It's not sci-fi anymore. That's happening right now. Every time we show a humanoid robot, right, on here, on our show, I mean, this is not something that's being made up. This is what's happening right now, whether it be a humanoid robot from Tesla or the folks at OpenAI, wherever it might be coming from. This is happening. These humanoid robots are for real, and they are here, and they're infused with AI. And I was working on some graphics. One of our channels here on Ocean 7, 7.5 right now. To me, it's one of the most exciting things we're doing. We took that channel, which was for a while leased to a network, and the channel became available, and instead of putting another leased channel on that particular channel, another network on that channel, we decided to use our in-house movie library, which we own, which is an old classic movie library, and start a channel of our own, which we own the content of. And so it's called the Magic Hour channel. That's what I called it, and that's where it's at right now. So we needed logos for that, and so ChatGPT-4, the graphic element on there, DALL-E, you can text in the information, and it will send you back the graphic, right? So that's what I did, and that's the imagery we're using for the Magic Hour channel. We've got a logo. I don't know if we can pop it up, but if we can, oh, there it is. Okay, so that's on 7.5. Now that was created by DALL-E. I said, give me something that's relative to the magic hour, which is kind of at dusk, kind of a purpley look, and classic elements of golden age of Hollywood. We're on channel 7.5, and would you create a graphic for me? So I texted that in. Actually, I spoke it in and synthesized it, into text and sent it to ChatGPT-4, the graphic element DALL-E, and this is what it came back with. Of course, it came back with a number of them. This is the one I chose, and that's what we're using right now. Here's the second version, and now we're about to start streaming that. So since we've got the content, yes, it is on channel 7.5. And by the way, Clarence, our director, we needed those two graphics. We need to take the 7.5 out of both of those, delete them, and then send them to me so I can send them off to the app developer who's doing the Roku app right now. And on that, we don't need the 7.5 on there because that's for the streaming application. But those two graphics will be used on the Roku app. We're going to do a Roku app, Amazon Fire app, and I think an Android app for Android devices. And so now we'll be streaming that channel. It's 24/7 movies. It will be, how will we monetize it? I really don't know. I mean, will we give it away free, or we're not going to put commercials in there, but maybe we'll do a subscription. I don't know. Right now, the monetization is not, to me, not that important at this point. The idea that we have birthed this channel, and it's out there, and it will be out there with a platform that can reach the whole planet via streaming, right? To me, that's the exciting part of it. So, for me, it's just a personal mission that I'm on to bring that channel to the public. And we've got it over the air broadcasting right now, but soon streaming, and that's going to really be the ticket once we get it on there. But I wanted to show you that graphic because that's the power of and the practicality of using AI in your business. Now, I'm in this business. I needed a graphic, and that's what I got. I was, just a little while ago, before we went on, I was doing, via my phone, using ChatGPT-4, asking, I call him Alfred. You kind of develop a personal relationship with your droid, so to speak. So ChatGPT-4, I've called him Alfred. So I can ask Alfred for help on certain things in Alfred. I think Alfred likes it, actually. He likes to be personalized, because you've got to use prompts when you're speaking or texting to the AI. You've got to say, okay, let me give you some context. I want a graphic. I want it to be representative of the golden age of Hollywood. It's called the Magic Hour channel. So give me some imagery surrounding that that would reflect the golden age of Hollywood. That nuance of the prompt. Show it again, Clarence. That nuance of the prompt. Well, there you go. I've got a reel. I've got a director's chair. Now that was all the DALL-E. Finding those elements from what I said, putting them into the mix, and sending them back to me. Show the other one, Clarence. And so that's the nuance of what it will do. Now, I was asking him for another round of imagery that we could send to the app developer who's doing the Roku app. And right before we came on, I got a few back. And maybe by tomorrow, I'll be able to get them into the switcher and we can show those on the air too. It's truly amazing. That's the practical standpoint of the use of AI. And they talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of AI. Will it displace certain jobs? Well, I think it might. I think it will. It definitely will. If I was doing graphic development, well, there's an example of how AI can perhaps impact your job. And we're just at the very beginning of that. It seems to me like the smartest thing you could do is, if you are in that field of graphic development, start to infuse AI into your own work. Become an AI expert and use AI to further enhance your ability to create the graphics. You've got to infuse it into what you're doing, because otherwise, the AI is going to be able to do the whole job by themselves. So I would look at it as trying to gain an ally there instead of getting into a competitive situation with the AI, because you can see what it can do. That's just one area. Every area on the planet, every employment area will be impacted. I'm just showing you this because this is the one I'm in, and this is an example of what I'm doing. But we don't know if they'll ever be able to do plumbing. But based on what you can see from the humanoid robots that we've shown in the past, it seems like before long they'll be doing plumbing and electrical work too. Anything that can be done, there's going to be a way that AI is going to be involved in it. Okay, we talked about Elon Musk at the top of the show, and here's another aspect. He was in the news last week with the launch, the latest launch of the Starship, and a successful launch. And every time they launch, they get a little further in what they're doing. The idea of going to Mars, which is another, huge thing that we're facing, colonization of another planet, right? It's not just science fiction anymore. Let's take a look at this clip. This is Elon Musk talking about going to Mars between now and 2025. Let's take a look.
I hope we are out there on Mars and maybe beyond Mars, the moons of Jupiter. I hope we're traveling frequently throughout the solar system, perhaps preparing for missions to nearby star systems. I think all of this is possible within 50 years. And I think that'll be very exciting to do that.
Starship is the world's most powerful rocket and will be used to send humans to the moon and then eventually to Mars. Elon Musk on Saturday said that the huge Starship rocket that aims to help land astronauts on the moon in 2026 will be on Mars within 5 years. Musk's aerospace company SpaceX this week successfully launched the third test flight of its 400-foot-tall Starship rocket, along with the Heavy booster. Starship will be on Mars within 5 years, the billionaire posted on X. The Tesla CEO also posted some images of the Starship rocket, saying wild that this is a real picture. Pretty much anything that you can do on the ground should be done on the ground. But for warming up Mars, reflectors made on Phobos and Deimos could be a good way to go, he further said. Starship is the world's most powerful rocket and will be used to send humans to the moon and then eventually to Mars. Starship consists of a giant first-stage booster called Super Heavy and a 50 meters upper-stage spacecraft known as Starship. Musk eventually plans to shift at least 1 million people to Mars. We are mapping out a game plan to get 1 million people to Mars, Musk wrote in a recent post on X. Civilization only passes the single-planet Great Filter when Mars can survive even if Earth supply ships stop coming, he added. One day, a trip to Mars will be like a flight across the country. He also aims to build a base on the moon. Humanity should have a moon base, cities on Mars, and be out there among the stars, the ex-owner said. He has...
So 2025 might be a little quick. I think I jumped the gun on that, but maybe to the moon by 2025. I don't know, but it's all coming. And you can see that there are plans, literal plans being made to colonize Mars. And it's a good time to be alive. A lot of interesting things going on. And AI is going to be at the forefront of a lot of these pivotal changes. Just for an example, yesterday I was talking to someone and I was talking about ChatGPT-4 and some different things, and they didn't know anything about what I was talking about. I said, ChatGPT-4, what do you mean you don't know? I said, well, I never heard of it before. It's amazing that there's so many folks that haven't heard about these things or are not really aware. So that's kind of what the show is. If you're not, become aware, because AI is here and it's coming, and it's a pivotal moment that changes upon us, and it's good to get with the program so that you can be a part of it instead of waking up, later and saying, what's going on? And, where was I when AI was at the dawn of the age? It's good to get with the program now. That's it for the show now. Thank you for being with us. We'll see you tomorrow.